Hey everyone, it's me. Welcome back to this channel that takes on all kinds of issues related to narcissism. It's my hope that this content will help you make sense of these difficult situations, people, and relationships. And please remember to subscribe so you get notified every time we put out a new video. Today's video is going to be really interesting and important. We're going to talk about how to identify red flags early. The title of the video is How to Identify Red Flags Before Getting in Too Deep with a Narcissist. So if you have a potential love interest or somebody you just want to put your guard up for, maybe they're a friend, a work colleague, an acquaintance, anything, stay tuned. This could really help you. And before we dig in, I'm going to tell you that there's a reason why I titled this How to Identify Red Flags. Because if you've been following along with us, we already have a video that's called Mastering the Art of Avoiding Narcissists, your essential playbook. If you haven't watched that yet, I highly recommend that you do. I'm going to put it right here in the cards or in the description so you can go right to it. It's got all of the strategies about how to avoid narcissists, but sometimes you need to identify the red flags. And then you need to use the playbook because once you identify those red flags, it's time to use the playbook dot. So let's start with how to identify red flags. Okay, so what are the red flags when you're dealing with a narcissist? Now, let's assume you're not experienced enough to do the differential diagnosis, which is a fancy way of saying you probably aren't going to figure out whether this person is a narcissist or not. So instead, what we're going to focus on are behaviors and characteristics that are very common in a narcissistic presentation that you should watch out for. Let's also assume that you're dealing with someone who you're attracted to, who you may potentially want to date. All of these things apply if it's a friendship or a work relationship, but I'm just assuming that it's a romantic interest. And if it doesn't click on any of these, you still use the playbook. You never know. Okay, let's go with no one, the red flag of grandiosity. Grandiosity is one of the hallmarks of narcissism. People who are grandiose tend to take up more space than other people. They're very opinionated. They often want to control conversations. They feel entitled to certain things, and they may actually talk down to you. So when you see signs of grandiosity, that's a red flag. No. 2, lack of empathy. If this person seems to have a real problem understanding how other people feel, look out. Lack of empathy is a hallmark of the narcissistic personality. No. 3, antagonistic or argumentative. Do they seem to be starting fights or arguments? Do they seem to be deflecting or blaming other people for problems or mistakes? Look out. That's a red flag. No. 4, if they're dismissive or condescending. Condescending and dismissive are two really important red flags. If this person tends to communicate with you in a way that's dismissive or condescending, there's a good chance that they're not only self-centered, but they may actually believe that they're superior to you. No. 5, if they're manipulative. Manipulation is another common behavior in narcissistic folks. If you find yourself doing things for this person that you don't want to do, or agreeing to things that you don't necessarily agree with, and you realize that you're doing it because you don't want to have conflict with them or because you want them to like you, that's manipulation. And that's a big red flag. No. 6, overly critical of other people. If your date is overly critical of servers or other service providers or other people whom they're interacting with, they may be doing that to test you to see how you react. Some narcissistic folks use criticism of third parties as a way of seeing how you respond. If you push back on their criticism, you may get the sense that they were testing you. That's a red flag. No. 7, does this person get flustered by social rules? When you meet someone, especially if it's a date, do they seem to be able to navigate the conversation and the niceties easily? Or do they seem to get flustered and confused? If they seem flustered, that could be a red flag. No. 8. Hypersensitive to rejection. Narcissistic people can't tolerate rejection. If even small amounts of criticism or rejection set them off, that's a red flag. No. 9. Are they excessively defensive? If a small amount of feedback or a small amount of criticism results in an overly defensive reaction, look out. Number 10, excessively emotional. Are they inappropriately angry or sad, or do they cry a lot? If it feels like the emotions are kind of turned up too high, they may be reacting in a way that seems like it's excessive, not normal. You don't know if it's excessive. That's a red flag. Number 11, are they secretive? Do they clam up when certain topics come up? Are they evasive on certain questions? If they're secretive or evasive, that could be a red flag. Number 12, victimized. Is this person always playing the victim? Do they blame other people for their problems? Are they unable to take any responsibility for their own mistakes? Do they have a lot of stories about bad things that happen to them? Victimization is a huge red flag. Number 13, is this person volatile? Do you ever feel like you're walking on eggshells around them? Do they have a hair trigger temper? Extreme volatility is a red flag. Number 14, arrogant. If you feel like this person is arrogant, that's a red flag. Number 15, entitled. If you feel like this person is entitled, that's a red flag. And number 16, does this person try to shame you? If you notice that the person tries to shame you, that's a big red flag. If you're noticing some of these patterns, now it's time to pull out your playbook. Use the playbook that I talked about in the video, Mastering the Art of Avoiding Narcissists. You can get this person out of your life fast. Now, a couple of caveats here. Not everybody who has these traits is a narcissist. These are common narcissistic traits. If you see a few of them, it's time to pay attention. But I would say that if you see 6 or more, definitely start paying attention. Just having 1 or 2 doesn't mean it's a narcissist. And many of you out there might say, well, wait a minute, these are human traits. Yes, many of these can be human traits. The difference is that if you're dealing with someone who's narcissistic, these traits are inflexible. They're consistent across people. They're rigid. They're not situational. They're not responsive to feedback. And that's what makes them a red flag. You know, a lot of people ask me about red flags in terms of narcissism, and they'll say, well, what are the red flags in kids? What are the red flags in an employee? What are the red flags in family members? I think the same ones. I think the list is pretty similar. There's no nuance to it. I think these are universal red flags for narcissistic presentations. As I said, if you see a few of these, bring out your playbook. You don't have to diagnose. You don't have to label. But recognizing that there are some common patterns in narcissism can help you protect yourself. I hope this video helps. Please watch the video about the playbook. Don't forget to leave your comments. Love hearing from you. Thanks again.